And again, another facet of why understanding your own truth and finding your truth meter is so important. Because we are birthed into this kind of matrix overlay space where we're being imposed and infringed upon. And we do come loaded with programming. And we are being constantly bombarded by additional programming, upgrades, and all that kind of in-app purchases that they try to get us to install and run with here. The crazy matrix. If you know, when you get aligned with your truth meter, that kind of stuff becomes way easier to identify and shake off, and realize it's coming into your reality and say, hey, you're really infringing. Get out of here. I don't consent to that. And it will leave you alone. When you can stand in your own truth and in your own light, shadows and negativity won't approach you unless unless you're calling for it. This is another talk of light and shadow work, of learning balancing within ourselves, because what can happen a lot of times is liar loops. We have blinders on, and you think you're doing some kind of great service to yourself or to others, or you're really wrapped up in some kind of presetting belief, and you're choosing, actively to ignore the exit, newness, or the catalyst, or some kind of obstacle, or whatever it is appearing as. But you're actively choosing with cognitive dissonance to really lie to yourself about that being there, right? And this is, again, pulling it back to truth and your truth meter. That's your truth meter is going off about that liar's loop that you're on, but you're ignoring it. And in that act of ignoring your truth meter, it will eventually quiet down or dull down. It's adaptation, right? It's totally like the glucose functioning, within the body, and you eat too much sugar, and your inhibitors and your glucose inhibitors, your body will be telling it that it needs to do work, it needs to process all this sugar, it's got to expend it, go exercise, go do something, or store it. But you've got too much here, like we've got too much. But the little red flag of too much sugar, you're just ignoring, because your brain and your mind and your tongue and whatever, you want more sugar and you eat more candy, more candy. And so the red flag that's been waving, it's like not getting noticed, not getting listened to. And pretty soon, over time and space, those inhibitors get sick of raising the flag, because they're like, wait a minute, this is never getting acknowledged, our flag. Do we have the right time to raise the flag at, even? And so maybe they push it back a little bit. And then they raise the flag a little later and say, hey, we've had way too much sugar today. You've had like 5 bottles of soda and candy. Now's the time we raise it. And if you continue to ignore that, well, they're going to be like, time after time after time, and be like, oh, wait, do we push that even higher, or do we just never signal anymore? Is this just an abundance of sugar? Find something new to do with the sugar, please. Everybody's breaking down. They give up their jobs. They don't know how to function. They forget the roles they're supposed to do. They don't raise the flag right. They put a different flag up. All of these different kind of things happen inside the body mechanisms when you eat too much of anything. But diabetes and the glucose is a perfect example of this sort of adaptation that happens when we don't listen to meters within our body. And our truth meter is exactly the same, just like our heart. Our heart is the same. I've talked about this with the heart-centered sharing in a lot of other videos, Our heart whispers. And if you don't listen to it, it doesn't yell. It just, I don't want to be listened to. Okay. And mainly our mind and our logical sense is a loud talker. And sometimes it's screaming. And maybe even up in yours, you got like a bullhorn guy or whatever, screaming out instructions and directions. Your heart doesn't even stand a chance. And perhaps even the guy with the bullhorn, the boss up in your brain's like, shut the F up down there. We don't like what you have to say. Your input isn't valid. You're weak. You're stupid. Or whatever. All of these different things we tell our wonderful hearts, right? That balancing is the same thing. It's the same. Your heart will have that adaptation function where it will just not speak anymore. People's hearts get very closed off, very hardened. You know, just like I use that internal well metaphor, where we have this beautiful internal well of love and energy inside of us. And some people, the well's built into the floor of like their heart center, and they put a cover right over it, and then they put a rug over it, and then they put furniture and a bureau and all types of things on top of it to forget that it's even down there. You know, that's your choice. But it doesn't deny the fact that it's there. And it also, to bring it into the truth and understanding, right? If you so choose to offset your truth meter and allow that adaptation function to negatively affect you, especially when we bring it into the scope of seeking truth and then being able to take in and look at all of these different external variations of scenarios and the systems playing out and all the stuff out in the external world. You're trying to find truth out there, but you have a wobbly bad truth meter. You're going to find the flavoring that meets that meter. You know, the frequency of whatever that you're holding, it's going to call information in at that level that matches that, unfortunately.